This week was a busy launch week at Starbase that unfortunately left us hanging and wanting more. So why did Flight 13 scrub, and when will SpaceX try again? Well, let's dig into this week's update and find out. Starting off with this week's fabrication updates, on Saturday morning, Ship 42's Common Dome section was relocated from Star Factory to Mega Bay 2. That evening, the section was tandem lifted with the nose cone and methane tank and moved onto the turntable for stacking. On Wednesday, the ship team was ready for more as the next section of the Ship 42's liquid oxygen tank was also brought to Mega Bay 2, connected to the upper part of the ship, and transferred to the turntable to be welded together. On Thursday morning, a new Starlink loader box was moved into the Mega Bay 2 doorway. This was followed just minutes later by what appears to be the loading mechanism that will be installed inside of the box. A short time later, following an aborted lift attempt, the new PEZ mechanism on the installation jig was lifted and carefully lowered into the new box. That afternoon, the box was lifted and the installation jig was driven out and returned to Star Factory. And less than an hour later, the new box followed the jig out of Mega Bay 2 and into Star Factory with its PEZ mechanism now installed. Out in front of the active bays, the new Giga Bay continues to grow. This week, the final tower crane built up its own mast to join the other 3 cranes at the final height required to finish the massive structure. Down at the launch complex on Saturday, the actuator was removed from the starboard chopstick. And just a few hours later, a crane lifted a new actuator to the arm to be installed as a replacement as SpaceX works to ensure the arms are fully functional ahead of Flight 13. Throughout the week, we saw the 3 steel frames for the Pad 1 mount side ground support bunker lifted from the prefabrication area and moved into position along the outside of the under construction flame trench. And on Thursday, even as SpaceX's flight team was moving through their pre-flight checklist, new hardware continued to arrive at the launch complex for the remodel of Pad 1. We saw deliveries of new sections of the wall of the flame trench, some additional beefy shielding for the base of the tower, as well as additional deluge piping. Moving on to this week's testing and flight prep activity, in the early hours of Sunday morning, Booster 20 was lifted off of the Pad 2 launch mount and transferred to the awaiting transport stand. Once secure, the Superheavy was rolled away from the pad and onto Highway 4. With its static fire now in the rearview mirror, the rocket was headed back to the build site for final checkouts. Upon its arrival, Booster 20 was taken into Mega Bay 1, with its now empty transport stand emerging several hours later to be taken back to the Sanchez site for storage. This week, the FAA published a new draft-tiered environmental assessment regarding different potential re-entry scenarios for Starship. This new report looks at new contingency landing sites off of Hawaii, South America, Alaska's Aleutian Islands, and also the Northern Pacific on a trajectory that would take the ship over the continental United States on its way back to Starbase. The FAA also closed its mishap investigation stemming from the loss of Booster 19 on Flight 12. SpaceX's investigation found the most likely causes to be the effects of heat on components of the propulsion system during ascent as well as erroneous settings on the engine alarm system. SpaceX has implemented 4 corrective actions in pursuit of avoiding these issues on future flights. On Tuesday, as the planned launch date continued to draw near, preparations continued. A ship transport stand was moved to Mega Bay 2, and later that morning, Ship 40 was rolled out of the building. That afternoon, the Starlink loader box was moved from Star Factory to Mega Bay 2, loaded with Flight 13's payload, followed later by Ship 40 re-entering the bay for loading. Unlike previous launches, this mission does not include dummy satellites, but rather 20 real V3 Starlink satellites that will perform some in-space testing before burning up on re-entry. My personal favorite part of this mission is that 6 of the satellites will also be retrofitted with cameras to provide images of the ship's heat shield during the coast phase. Meanwhile, the booster transport stand was also brought to the former ring yard and eventually into Mega Bay 1. By Tuesday evening, Booster 20 had been installed onto the stand and the Flight 13 Superheavy was rolled out into the open air. Just a short time later, the rocket was taken through the Sanchez site and out onto Highway 4 for its latest journey to the launch complex. Upon its arrival, it was taken to Pad 2 and parked between the waiting chopsticks. Later that night, the chopsticks were raised up to the lifting points below the booster's 2 opposing grid fins. A little after midnight, the booster was lifted into the Texas skies, transferred to the launch mount, and carefully lowered into position. Shortly before dawn, with the rocket now secure on the mount, Booster 20 performed some actuation tests of its 3 hypersonic grid fins. Later that morning, the work platforms on the end of the ship quick disconnect arm were extended. And about an hour later, SpaceX performed some testing on the chopstick landing rails as they continued with their checkouts of the various systems. A half hour later, the work platforms on the ship quick disconnect arm were retracted back to their stowed position. SpaceX then performed a pair of retraction tests on the actual ship quick disconnect interface, ensuring it was working properly before the arrival of Ship 40. As this latest round of systems testing wrapped up, the chopstick landing rails were lowered back down to their default standby position. As launch preparations continued, the large crawler crane at the pad lowered its boom, minimizing its profile ahead of launch to reduce the likelihood of damage. Around that same time, back up the road at the build site, Ship 40 emerged from Mega Bay 2, now loaded with 20 Starlink satellites. And about an hour later, the rocket was taken out onto Highway 4 and down to the launch complex. Like the booster, less than 24 hours before, the Flight 13 second stage was taken to the Pad 2 and placed between the waiting arms of the Pad 2 tower. About an hour and a half after Ship 40's arrival, the chopsticks were raised up to the ship's lifting points. Next, the ship quick disconnect arm was swung out away from the tower. Not wasting any time, the Starship was then lifted up the tower, translated over, and carefully lowered onto Booster 20, completing the first full stack of the Flight 13 vehicles. Late on Thursday morning, as SpaceX transitioned into final preparations for their launch attempt, Ship 40 gave a wave as it was put through a round of actuation testing of its flaps. That afternoon, the chopsticks released Ship 40 and were open and raised into the launch position. The landing rails were tested again, being raised, lowered, and then raised again. As the pad was cleared, the ship and booster stands were taken up the highway and parked at the roadblock. A little while later, the roadblock was shifted further up the road as SpaceX transitioned into the final phase of launch preparations. Shortly before 5 that afternoon, the ship quick disconnect arm started venting, indicating that SpaceX was in the process of cooling down the lines between the propellant farm and the vehicles. At precisely 5 p.m. local time, SpaceX posted that they were go for prop load, and just minutes later, frost began to form as propellant flowed into the tanks on the vehicles. Following a brief hold, the countdown continued, the deluge activated, and the Superheavy began lighting its engines. Unfortunately, the rocket auto-aborted during the ignition process. Since the abort came so late in the process and the deluge system had activated, the launch attempt was scrubbed. Elon later posted that the abort was triggered by multiple engines failing to ignite during startup. SpaceX intends to replace 2 of Booster 20's Raptors to hopefully alleviate the issues on the next attempt. Given that Raptor reliability seemed to be a key issue during Flight 12, an auto-abort to Raptor ignition problems is certainly concerning, but hopefully SpaceX has a good handle on the issue. Meanwhile, back at the build site, SpaceX wasn't going to let an aborted launch attempt hinder their other plans, as the booster cryostand had been moved to the ring yard area before the launch had even been scrubbed. The stand was later taken into Mega Bay 1, and around 1 o'clock on Friday morning, Booster 21 emerged from the building for the first time. This latest Superheavy was then rolled out onto Highway 4 and taken up to the road to the Massey outpost for its initial round of cryogenic testing. While the presumed Flight 14 booster was moving out for testing, back at the pad, the Flight 13 vehicles were being destacked. Ship 40 was lifted back off of Booster 20 and placed onto the awaiting transport stand. The ship quickly departed the complex and headed back up the road to the build site and into Mega Bay 2. And on Friday morning, the SpaceX website was updated, showing a launch date of no earlier than Monday, July 20th for Flight 13. With several days still before the next attempt, the Buckner crawler crane at the pad was raised back up to get in some work in the meantime. Around that same time, the chopsticks had been placed back around Booster 20 and the rocket was lifted off of the mount and placed carefully back onto its transport stand. And less than 24 hours after the aborted launch attempt, the vehicle was back inside Mega Bay 1 for its apparent 2 Raptor engine swap before the next launch attempt. And there you have it, another Starship and Starbase update brought to you by Avid Space. Let's all band together and keep our fingers crossed for a successful Monday launch. In the meantime, make sure you tune in for our upcoming spaceflight news update later on in the week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.